will say Ultra Prime maybe on their comfort side of the red. I do just want to reiterate, it's such a big point to me that they still have only won one game on blue side, so no changes here, at least for that one. But I know if they do try to go back to this match, okay, well they do. I guess that's the answer to my question. The Aphelios here for
game
Doggo,
41 for
and
Doggo.
go for a bit of a late game again and see if they can pilot that early game a little bit better.
Yeah, so Ning, of course, doesn't have the Sejuani. That would have been his, priority pick for that jungle matchup. Thinking about a number of different options.
It's the Vi, right?
That,
yeah, there you go.
It is the Vi being locked in. So this is what we've seen more from these junglers in this split so far. Loosely, jungle matchups in this meta have one person who's being aggressive or one person who's counter-ganking and responding. The Moakai is on the responding end of things, the Vi is on the aggressing side of things. That has been what these two players in the jungle, in Ning and Gideon, have been more comfortable on, and kind of picking their side of this jungle matchup is what they've been very comfortable with. But on the other side, if you are aggressing, we have seen a number of Vi's played into Xayahs recently. In fact, IG played the Xayah into Rare Atom's Vi, and it was Lian, who's obviously no slouch on that champion. And Xayah trying to play, well, Vi trying to play into the Xayah. It's a lesson in patience. It's a lesson in a bit of humility as well, because you pop your ultimate, shield, you die because the feathers are all there, and you feel pretty sad about life.
We get the Thresh coming in here. Exciting stuff to pair up with the Aphelios combo we used to see all the time. Provides a lot of safety, but a lot of setup as well for Ultra Prime. And this is a welcome adaptation from game number 1.
Thresh had some changes on this patch as well. It's less about, you used to see a bit of W max on the Thresh last time he was in meta, getting that extra cooldown on your W, and of course the largest shield as well. You kind of become an extra kind of peel tool, focusing on the peel for your Aphelios. Very strong CV2 in the Aphelios Thresh. They can take on all comers, and something like a Moakai can't really go into that lane with impunity. Wondering what is going to come out from Wink at this point, because the last time we saw the IG play the Xayah, they played it with the Braum. Braum is not the best champion to the Thresh, particularly with Thresh going more towards the Qmax nowadays as well, and the hook having much lower cooldown when you're actually hitting things. If you play a melee support into the Thresh, his Q is basically 100% uptime when you come into mid game and you have an item and a little bit of ability haste on top of what's happening. You get if you kind of like chain run into the hooks, these get very dangerous after that point. So I wonder if Wink has to go towards something a bit longer range, because the melee support's playing into that playstyle a little too badly.
And I do like this blast ban from IG, at least getting that Grag's way to take into maybe that Jax, where I've seen a lot of Grags actually have a little fun going against Jax. It is the Ksante, though, so they actually we haven't seen a lot of recently. Oh, there's a little zoom shout out. But obviously, Hery going to be piloting the Ksante now for Ultra Prime, which does change a little bit of their setup from the top side of the map, but a little bit of the same vein as well.
So, of course, the Ksante had a lot of nerfs in the last few patches. When he presses his ultimate, instead of losing 5% resist as he did before, he now loses 85% resist. So while you're still doing damage, take an awful lot more. And yeah, this is the longer range support that we were ruminating on. Thresh, if he was into a melee support, would have given IG and Wink a lot of problems. The Renata comes out. This is full disengage from IG, actually. You look at the Moakai ultimate, the Xayah ultimate, the Renata ultimate flying through. You're going to have someone like Doggo kind of walking up to the fight and having 3 ultimates to contend with, which you can't really walk into. Ultra Prime, if this comes to a 5v5 setting, especially with the Sylas being able to steal away... Well, actually, no, there aren't that many grid ultimates. The box actually might be quite interesting to see. Actually. I mean, actually, the box might be quite interesting to see him steal away in the right kind of situation.
Just the AP scaling.
Yeah,
we get the Ahri!
Okay, so this is now an Ahri cast. I apologize. I talk about this champion a lot. We'll get to that. I'll give you like one brief moment before we plunge into that champion. But Ultra Prime, if they engage into this composition in a straight 5v5 against IG, they're gonna get slapped. IG have side lane threat with that Jax. They have great disengage potential. You have to snowball now through your lanes. This mid jungle, very good at getting kills. This bot lane TVT, very good at fighting as well. But if they don't snowball through lanes, things get very hairy.
I love it, and especially because we have Hery in the game. But I think this
didn't notice that.
Yeah, I got you. I'll make sure you notice. I got you. But I think this approach is a little bit of an adaptation for both sides of it. And I think when we came into this, when we put a lot of onus on bottom side, we got to see that come to fruition, at least for IG, for On and Wink last game. But now we get a little bit of a change up, maybe a little bit more of a forward step from Ultra Prime. We're going to see what this response or this maybe comeback is going to be like.
Ultra Prime all eyes on the early game for them this time. Game 1, IG wanted to play around their early game, around their one item power spike, Ultra Prime. That's more on them this time. As much as the Aphelios will scale, will do damage, are you ever going to be in a position to do damage when you're stuck a full screen away with ultimates flying at you? When you've got a Thresh Latin to help you reposition, that can help a little bit. Have to assume he's taking the cleanse as well. Imagine both these AD carries have to go that cleanse as well with the amount of CC on the other side. But if things don't start off well in the very early laning phase, I really don't see how Ultra Prime can get themselves through to a victory. Luckily, they do have some snowbally picks as well. I myself am an Ahri main. I show up at this champion an awful lot. Has gone towards the first strike, so it's not going to be the spellbook Ahri, so there's a little bit more damage to bring to bear. Very interested to see what item build they go towards. We see a lot of Ahris kind of autopilot, slamming an Everfrost and say, I'm going to be set up. In this game, almost wonder if you have to go towards either something like Liandry's and dive side lanes with the Moakai and that Jax, or you go towards something like a Luden's Echo, and you try and snowball with the Dark Seal stacks as well. Maybe go towards Illusion's Magi's 2-item spike, because Ning and Qing, they have to be comboed up and doing damage. If they aren't doing damage, I don't see, again, how Ultra Prime can fight on fair footing. It is an awful lot of burden on them, but they got to do it.
They do. And I think we're seeing a similar response where we had a lot of that peel, but maybe a little bit more outright for IG game number 1. This is more direct peel, but it is kind of the same vein where they just want to give and take against Ultra Prime and find ways in. Now, I do love this move from YSKM. Get a little bit of that vision early. Might be collapsed on a little bit heavily here, Qing. Maybe engaged on by Dove himself. We just get trades between the solo. It is pressuring around Ning, but Ning starting on top side, Gideon on the bottom side.
First strike proc for both of these mid laners. That's the most important thing you can see. Hery is going to ward in that brush, so YSKM doesn't get like a free trade as they come out of that. Both these AD carries are going to be running that cleanse, as we suspected. Baolan on the see how many hooks he can land. One thing which can turn around pretty much any game is a good series of hooks. Baolan walking up, using that brush. Very important to
this is the most kind of painful part of dealing with the Thresh.
Yeah, anytime you're dealing with one of these kind of hook champions, one of these ranged initiators, losing control in that brush,
look at
so
that.
much damage.
Oh, that's not even level 2 yet. That's just the play, though. Some damage knocked back as Cleanse and Ignite were used from Wink and on, but Ignite actually used by Baolan as well.
We're actually in a very spicy situation in mid lane as well. You'd have teleports, no ignites, of course, for these two laners at this point, but very low HP. None of them can come to the play here. Gideon on the bot side of the map. Reward is in river. Doggo still has cleanse, but Ahri, of course, burned his earlier.
Should be able to stop this game from really coming alive here against Ultra Prime, but a bit of vision, at least. Spotting out Gideon. We'll see what happened in mid lane there in the trade.
Yeah, looks like it's just Dove walking up, throwing his skills out. You have a pretty interesting matchup with the Ahri and Sylas. Sylas is a champion which uses your ultimate much better than you in some cases.
I was going to say, that's the one thing we were looking for, and it got it.
Yeah, but when you're playing the Ahri side of the matchup into the Sylas as well, you can play some mind games yourself. If Sylas wants to connect an E onto you, you can actually just stand still, tank the hook, and or the abscond abduct, and then just trade it for a charm, because your charm will actually cancel out his dash towards you, and then you can kind of trade back a little bit. So if you play boldly in this matchup, Ahri does have some ways to fight back against the Sylas, and Qing, as it stands, did manage to push in, pushes the wave a lot easier than Sylas at the very early levels. Means that
we're just getting such a big hover. We're gonna get a Scuttle Crab.
But Ultra Prime, they have to snowball. Here. If they win this fight, maybe they can start getting themselves a platform afterwards. But Ning, he's spotted.
Oh, he doesn't have his Bramble Smash, so no knocking back. Ultra Prime have moved their bot lane up as well. Now Flash, Flay to the middle now as well. A little bit of damage. Doggo's doing the blue buff. We have a re-engage over on the other side. Dove is fighting himself in a fight, but Baolan goes down first blood. As now nothing traded from Ultra Prime. And Gideon's about to have cooldowns back. Red pump! No! And that's an angry tree! And IG are 2-0 up 4 minutes in.
Ultra Prime, they needed to get something going early. All they find is a deficit. They lose the first big fight of the game. They try it, credit to them. They flash forward on Baolan. They try and find a pick on the Dove with the mid jungle as well, but it isn't to be. IG, they outplay in the river. They have patience. He's
gonna stop him. He's gonna stop him. Here comes Gideon over the wall, and this is about to be another kill going over to IG. The flash comes through though. Hery, he might have just done it. He doesn't have escape path though, and that is a third kill to IG. YSKM getting some love.
Disaster for Ultra Prime. IG standing up in the early game, and Gideon on the Moakai, his most played champion of this split, defining the first 5 minutes of the game. Already alarms ringing in the heads of Ultra Prime.
Oh, man.
Try and force the play. It is the right thing to do, try and force that play. I'm just wondering whether Baolan had to be the one to flash at that point. Maybe they could have flashed the other side of the map. Dove survives, and Dove gets like 2 assists off of this too. Or rather just the one, actually. It's just that 1 kill. But this is the real pain point as well. Boop. Flash.
That's a cute
flash blown on the other side. And Qing, you know, blows that flash on the Ahri side of the matchup too. So dangerous things now for Ultra Prime. No flash on pretty much anyone across the board. You have it on Doggo, and that is it. Already 1.5k gold behind, and at this point in the game, that's a heck of a lot of gold. Very good signs though from IG to just straight up fist fight in the early game and come out ahead.
A little bit of response here though. They got the grab some lockdown on, in some trouble here. They do have Gideon right around it. A flamethrower! He's not going down today! And every time the flip of the coin happens for Ultra Prime, it comes up nowhere near where they need it to be. We get Ning on the top side, but this is a 1v2 that YSKM is willing to take apparently.
Well, he has his ultimate. He's just sat there and goes, okay, fine. Bring your Vi up here. See if I care. IG, they've had the coin flipped in their face, and they just catch it out of the air and say, no, we're just winning this. YSKM,
oh
he
my
just
God,
kills
he's going to
here.
take it. Hery's just down. YSKM is about to take a 2v1, and you should know him as he pushes away 2 members of Ultra Prime and stares defiantly in their faces.
Oh, again, IG, they catch the coin flip out of the air. This is not a chance scenario. IG, they're assessing the situation and winning these skirmishes. Ultra Prime, desperation this reeks of. Looks like they know they have to play around this early game, but they just haven't had the right windows, the right execution on it. Now this feels like a real overforce. Hery doesn't.
This is the Zoom lesson.
This is the Zoom lesson. This is the Shy. This is all of the old masters teaching the new young upstart in the LPL, forcing Ning out into a really bad situation. I think walks away, just smites the minion behind him, and now even large gold advantage for IG coming out of this early game. Again, Ultra Prime, they needed to get ahead. They are so far behind now.
And I love putting all the spotlight on, you know, the members getting the kills, the big carry potentials, but my goodness, Gideon has just exploded. And what a match to do it on against Ning, the jungler of IG, the world champion of IG's run. And Gideon having himself a pop-off moment on his favorite Moakai, at least of this split.
And also doing it at such an important moment for these 2 teams as well. If you win at this point, just before the home stretch, just before the plunge into the last few series, it's so big because IG, if they were to win this game, they come up to 7-5. They pull ahead of some of the rest of the mid-pack and put themselves actually in a position to join the top of the table too, should one of those 8-win teams fall off a little bit at the end of the split. Maybe they pick up a couple of losses, maybe IG can slot into their place. It's just about keeping pace up towards the end of the split. Ultra Prime on the other side, they already were in a very precarious spot in regards to, are they going to make playoffs? If you were to cut off the top 10 teams right now, they would not be part of that bracket. And with games like this against IG, not one of the very top table teams, it's very dangerous for them because they still have to play some of those top table teams.
Yeah, and I'll take a little bias here. I'll just say I'm a big Doggo fan. And seeing some of the trials and tribulations that Doggo had to go through on BLG last year, it was hard to watch. Right? And there was a lot of good moments for BLG, I feel like, especially in late season pushes, but there was also a lot of very rough moments. And I was coming into this new year for Doggo. I was like, okay, you're paired up with some legends. You got a little strength of your own. You're getting his full start. You know, like, there's no conversations there, but it still hasn't been that bright spot. We haven't seen that Doggo evolve just yet, and the connection still is being built 8 weeks in.
And particularly in regards to Doggo, it felt like we could see a lot of that in Game 1, right? Where he had points of power, actually had some individually okay moments, but between him and his team, he couldn't impact the game. It's not the first time we've seen that in this split. We've seen it on his Draven as well, as we said a little earlier against Top Esports. Was sat at 0-0-0 right up until their Nexus fell in that particular game. No cash-ins, no ability to impact that game. And Ultra Prime, if they don't have Doggo impacting the game, they struggle to have the real damage profile to win things out in late game.
Now we'll see. Maybe an attempt from Ning to get to mid lane. Has a level 6 now. trying to get some influence here. But again, Gideon finding himself in an advantageous position in the jungle matchup, and a lot of bodies forming around this bottom side of the map. Where On has picked up 2 plates, and we have a dragon coming up in a minute and a half.
This is going from bad to worse in so many ways. You've already fallen behind your bot lane in your mid-jungle matchup as well. Sure, Ning has that level 6, but Fire's setting up with that ultimate for what now? Don't have items through on Doggo yet. You've got what looks to be, sadly, an Everfrost being built up by Qing. If my read is right on that item. He hasn't built himself a Dark Seal to snowball the game as well. Ultra Prime, it feels like, again, they're going to really lack the damage at the important parts of the game. Herald slamming into that bot lane turret, more gold over to this Xayah. Engaging onto this Xayah is going to be absolute peril for IG, for Ultra Prime.
Yeah.
They try and dive into all those disengage ultimates, it's not going to be pretty.
See, a little bit of trading back and forth. The Ghost did get popped, so Hery tried to go in. All out has been popped. YSKM in a little bit of trouble, but Hery's dashing, and maybe even a little bit of flashiness coming through. Now the bot side hostile takeover on 3 members, and oh my goodness, it's already rot. They get one back, no Gideon bailed out, and the last second by Wink and Doggo. You don't got much to write home about. That Moonlight Vigil misses, and so too does Ultra Prime in the second game. It's 9-0, it's 11 minutes in, and it's a huge blowout by Invictus Gaming.
We're on pace for a perfect game here from IG. We're now only 11 minutes in, but was wondering if anything would get picked up from Ultra Prime, but the bailout comes through. Ultra Prime, no dragons, no kills, no heralds. No hope in this game. They've had a swing and a miss a couple of times already. Baolan trying to bring Gideon back into the team, but again, it's so perilous diving into the zone control, into the Nature's Grasp, into that hostile takeover from the Renata as well. Thinking maybe there could have been a turnaround kill, but the bailout comes through just the end of it, and Doggo, once again, he can't impact this game. He's not at the point where he has the items to impact this game, but so sad for the AD carry, who we know could be a real all-star player from Ultra Prime, sat there watching the game fall away from him.
Unfortunately so, but this is because it is a team game, and right now IG are just the better team. You don't want to look at that player Goldcraft. It is very blue right now. Maybe making Ultra Prime feel a little bit blue, but I gotta realize that IG are a team that have built themselves back from the ground up, it feels like, right? Like, On and Wink are the only holdovers coming into this year, and while they had some good performances last year, it was never like that, oh my goodness, these are the prodigies, right? And we're seeing that growth from them in a second year, but it's the integration of Dub from LCK, from Gideon coming over, from YSKM coming in and making the biggest splash it feels like we've seen in a long time in the LPL, and it's just been kind of that starstruck nature of IG right now, even in their troublous moment.
Yeah, I want to really know what the heck the logic was in off-season building this roster, because on paper, to me, you look at these players, it doesn't look like these pieces should fit. These are players which have all underperformed in their own way. They've all struggled in their own way, and maybe through that shared struggle, that shared suffering in previous years, they've managed to find a way to find something special out of it. But how the heck did they figure that out in off-season? I just can't see it on paper.
It's working, man. It's working. It doesn't need to work on paper. It just needs to work when you execute in the game. And we're seeing that. We're seeing that cocky nature come through from IG in what a beautiful way, right? Like, trying to find these kinds of power spikes, the way they mechanically executed game number 1. These are the bright moments of IG. And now we're looking at a huge lead and them to execute the rest of this matchup.
Plate's just about to fall off. Next
is there a light at the end of the tunnel here? We got Doggo on the Aphelios.
So the thing is, most of the time when you mention that analogy, it kind of comes down to what nature is that light at the end of the tunnel, because sometimes it is just a freight train. It is in fact the freight train more often than not in the LPL. But I mean, so I put it this way. One of the things about the LPL teams, as many people will be aware of at this point, we're not very good at holding on to leads all the time. Some of our top teams will close out games very ruthlessly. Doesn't transcend the entire table though. We throw a couple of games here and there. But when you have such a hard composition to shut down this Xayah into all of these disengaged ultimates, even that is going to be a really hard task. IG, it really does feel as though they're in about as close to an unlosable spot as you can. A 6,000 gold lead at this point in the game, almost unheard of, especially when you are the team which should outscale.
They needed to kind of stop Ultra Prime for getting anything. Well, they just said, well, you get to starve at this point. And I think Ning is still pushing, still trying to find little moments. But you have to be even more careful because now if you overstep, you just continue to pile that lead. We'll see IG getting flanked here. They don't see him. He's just there in the bush. Will come through. Doesn't use it. Now combo actually onto Wink, and that's the person you need to focus on. The bailout comes through, but it's not enough. And Doggo gets the kill. No perfect game today as the Featherstorm used. Nice charm, but the cleanse is still there. The Blade Caller comes through. Doggo with the red and white can't do it. Nature's Grass coming across, but Ultra Prime, they put themselves on the board finally.
Yeah, no perfect game for IG. Do lose that one kill, but after blowing all of those ultimates, it is just that one kill. It's not like you've given over any objectives. It's not like you've given over like a huge shutdown as well. It was only Wing. But at least Ultraman gets something going. You can see a lot more of that. Problem is, can't really do it. Oh, okay, here comes Doggo.
Almost gets that Moonlight Vigil. Not able to connect it. Nicely done from On to kite that one out. But an attempt from Doggo, and he's not dead just yet. Rift Herald number 2. Will be coming through here. Oh, flash. Oh, the handshake back as well. Baolan, he's just gone. He just takes down by Gideon. You don't have enough damage to put back even if the chakrams are coming through. The slow onto Hery, and it's an alley-oop from Dove to YSKM.
Dove hands the baton over to You Should Know Me. Takes down a kill in his own lane against his lane opponent. Ultra Prime one breath of fresh air with that first kill they find, but they don't have the ultimates after that point. Doggo dashes forward, tries to take down his opposing number at Arn. Can't quite land the skill shots, can't quite land the damage, and now IG putting Ultra Prime further down into the dirt. He's going to clear up some waves in this top side.
No, Qing, no! Where's your Ahri buff now? See if he can actually get one back. Maybe that's enough. Nightmare, are you buffing him here? He got the TP back. Oh, no. It's gone.
No.
Oh, Hery with a second contender has entered the battle. We'll see. I think Hery just loses that, right? Nature's Grass comes across the tower, about to go down. I think YSKM just wants that, but this could also be an overextension. Baolan has roamed up here, connects it, and Hery goes back in. YSKM, you've stayed way too long here. He flashes away. Maybe he can get out, but there you go. The combo comes through, and Hery gets himself on the board.
Close run stuff, though. That Divine Sunder healing with the stacked up lethal tempo. Really lots of damage, lots of healing. Had to 1v3 him in the end. Qing, of course, goes down. Zari has not managed to snowball, not managed to get into the game. And yeah, while all this is happening, you lose tier 1 top, tier 2 bot, almost lose your tier 2 mid as well. This is still an absolutely huge series of plays for IG. We're talking about, you know, the 7,000, 6,000 gold lead earlier into the game at around about 14, 15 minutes.
Don't look at it, man. Don't look at it. No. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, well, okay. We can just like, if anyone's got like a little post-it on hand or like a little duct tape or something, just like put it across the top of your screen. You don't need to know that number anymore. That number's going to be bad. Just don't look at it. Bad for all of us involved. And Qing trying to get some kind of damage across it. And Harry's dead.
Oh! He's in a 1v2. He's going in on Qing. He's got the Spirit Rush as well, but there's another member. Ning, the OG Jungle King, will come through. Clutch as ever. I love that Doggo tried to get the additional assist there with the Gale Force, but it will go over to Ning, and that's now 3 kills in response.
Yes, but it's still only
the
a
base
1-for-1.
in tatters.
And you've lost your mid lane in it. You're losing your mid lane in him.
Oh my god, they're going to lose.
These are still bad trades, Mazel. It doesn't get better still.
It does not. I think we've come to a realization. We've heard the honking of the horn, and the light at the end of the tunnel is a freight train. Now, is it a full freight train? Is it an empty freight train? You know, there's a big difference between the weight of trains if, say, they're covering, you know, a big coal carry, or if, you know, they're empty going to pick up coal.
Well, I don't know. I think IG's got a lot of tonnage on this one. That's a pinpoint.
That's insane.
That is a skill shot. That is the skill shot to land. Also got the ultimate from Hery, not able to solve that equation. Yeah, see the real threat of these solo laners now when they've gotten ahead of the curve. And despite Qing has actually built up a little bit more damage, not the Aerophos is that Leandri's, still not ahead of the curve. It's not like this Ahri is going to be one-shotting people with huge amounts of magic penetration and kind of stacking up Magi's, becoming a threat on the board. Ultra Prime, they need to get so many more of these fights to get something out of this. Ahn has ult and has flash. He can walk forward as well.
It's going for that hostile takeover coming back. The flash comes through for Baolan. He wants back though, as now the flank for YSKM has come through. They've already cut out Baolan, and the rest of Ultra Prime are quickly cleaned up. A nice little feast, and IG are going straight to the base.
Triple kill on, quadra kill on the table. Qing has flash, has ult, but can they try to get them all? Kill hit already carry.
Flash from Qing, who's out. Now the push from mid lane.
No, they
They
can't. I mean,
also have
yeah.
under tower over here, who took down Ning in a 1v1 and survives. He has TP, and IG are pushing the base.
The push
Oh
here,
my
they kill
god,
into the
raise
next
that
turret.
white flag. It's over. Ultra Prime and IG will push themselves to a comeback that resembles their name here, as they have put themselves in wonderful position to get to that 7-5 mark, to put a stamp and push themselves into the playoffs.
Dies under the next turret. You
don't need to worry about that.
Goes down, and the last
Quick
turret
back.
shot, that's to take them down. Means that we kind of have to delay on the celebrations just a little bit, but IG, as soon as the perfect game was off the table, feels like they kind of just bought in to say, look, okay, we don't have to play like completely killless. As long as we've got position to kind of like force these plays, let's just go for it at this point. They definitely have themselves a goal. Arn chooses not to bring out the cleanse at that point. He says, okay, well, cast the ult, save the cleanse for another fight. And ult prime, they've been fun victories in misnumbered fights on side lanes. Even with that, IG have kind of bought into that style of play because they can just win by pushing in the turrets elsewhere. Certainly not winning when Doggo's on the...
We didn't even get to watch that, so they didn't just
It's like,
get
oh
to
yes,
what we
by
want.
the way, they still died. How did he die here? Oh, it was the alternates.
Oh.
Isn't it? It came up with cooldown. So the extra burn from the Ahri's 30% to bring that through. Now on the Baron, trying to close out the game even further.
Oh, Ning. I said he's the OG jungle king. Can he get in there and steal it away? He's in the pit. He's trying to deal. He gets pushed. He goes back out with the cease and desist on a dub. And the rest of his team is just getting rinsed through right now. You got Qing, Ning down, and Doggo. The it felt like was not there. And IG wiped the floor with Ultra Pro.
Game 1 was a close run affair. It felt like it could have cut both ways. Game 2, it was only ever going in one direction. From the first 4 to 5 minutes of the game, Ultra Prime.
13,000 kills for IG. They're number 2 in total kills in the LPL. What a mark to hit, and what a comeback in IG's history, at least. What a way to have off a play against Ultra Prime, and it was everyone. It felt like IG pulling the plug on this one.
And doing it against two of the most notable players in IG's history as well. Ning and Baolan, part of their world's winning roster. Feels bad for Ultra Prime as they sink to 3-8, looking like they are very much in threat of missing. Those have to be a real monolithic comeback for them, especially with JDG and LMG rather still on the docket for them to face off the rest of this split. But IG looking like they're cruising into the playoffs at this point at the rate which they're setting through, and after some mid-season stomps, better team.
They were on a 4-loss streak as well, but now